Hey everyone, this is Peter, the creator of Rideshare Wars, the card game. And today I'm going to be doing a playthrough of this solo version of the game, which comes in 4 different levels, and I'm going to be playing level 2. So let me just give you a quick rundown of what the game is about. So in the game, you are the leader of a rideshare corporation, and you are trying to grab all these riders that have been left without transportation after the collapse of the taxi cartel. And the game is already set up. Let me explain to you what each of these elements in the setup mean. So right here in the middle, these are your contested riders. So the game, it plays over 3 phases. The morning phase represented by this deck, the afternoon phase by this deck, and the evening deck. The evening phase represented by this deck. Basically, it takes place over the course of a day, morning, afternoon, evening, and you have just a single day to emerge victorious. And this basically marks the clock, you know, once these cards run out, the game is over. This represents the taxi riders pile, you know, all those people that have relied on taxis for years and are pretty loyal taxi customers. This right here represents the curbside. So these are the people that are standing right on the street trying to flag down taxis. Little do they know that the taxi cartel is out of business, and so they are out of luck. So it's up to you, Rideshare Corporation, to pick them up, give them transportation. This right here represents milestone cards. So you earn milestone cards as you build out your tableau and you, create certain combinations of cards. You'll see how those work as the playthrough proceeds. These are loan cards. At any point during your turn, you can grab 1 loan card and grab 3 drivers. The loan card can be repaid at any point as one of the actions using 4 cards. So you borrow 3, repay 4, pay back with interest. And if you don't repay it, it counts as -4 points at final scoring. And this deck is the deck of tool cards. So these tool cards, they give you, pretty cool effects. This one, for example, it allows you to page through, grab 4 cards from the taxi riders deck and choose any one that you want and return the rest. So it's they have a pretty cool effect. Some of them give you discounts for acquiring riders and so forth. The tool cards can also be used to pay for optional actions. And those optional actions, you'll see them at play. They basically give you the ability to outmaneuver the game in a solo play, or in a 2 to 4 player game to outmaneuver other players. So this is the basic setup. So when the game starts, you set up, these are called the contested riders. During your turn, you have to acquire one of these contested riders. And this is how the acquisition cost works. These are called slots. You can think of them as a ride request queue. This one is slot number 1, and it costs 1 to acquire. Slot 2, 3, 4. 4 costing 4 to acquire. And this here is a set of extra driver cards. So driver cards, these are basically the currency. This is the front, the artwork pretty cool, and this is the back. And this is the currency that you use to pay for acquisition. So 1, 2, 3, 4, that's the cost for the contested riders. And then on the curbside, well, if you want to acquire a curbside rider, the cost is basically the points value for each card. So as you can see, maybe you can take a closer look at this one. Each card will have a letter at the top, which represents the city, an icon here, which represents uptown, midtown, or downtown. So inside each city, there's 3 zones: uptown, midtown, downtown. This is the icon for midtown. This here represents a card power. And so most of the cards have card powers. When the card power is circled in red, it means it's, it's detrimental, the card power. So in this case, you don't have to memorize what it is. It says right here at the bottom, under effect, this one says discard 1 tool card. So these card powers, they activate when you play your card in the tableau. And there is the points value, which is 6. And so if you want to acquire one of these cards with the curbside, you simply have to pay the acquisition cost corresponding to the points value. And where the points value happens to be negative, you just pay nothing. You just get the card and put it in your hand. So that's basically the setup. And then on a single turn, let's start the game, and then you can see what happens in a single turn. To make it really easy for everyone to learn the game, it comes with these turn step-by-step guide cards, which tell you, exactly what you need to do to play your turn. It comes with 2 sides, solo, and 2 to 4 players. And so today I'm going to be using the solo side for that. The game also comes with this optional actions guide. And like I said, these are the ones that you can use to outmaneuver the game. The optional actions, some of them have to do with gaining more rider cards from the taxi riders pile, swapping cards between the taxi the curbside and the contested riders, swapping cards between your tableau and the contested riders, playing a tool card. So once you get a tool card to play, that's an optional action. Gaining additional driver cards or paying off loans. And so on a turn, you have 2 optional actions. Now, why don't we start? So I will put this out of the way. Okay.
So let's take a moment to review what it takes to win a solo game. So there are 3 objectives that you need to achieve, all of them, in order to win the game. The first one is that you must earn at least 6 out of the 10 Milestone cards. From the second phase, the afternoon phase in a solo game, a Milestone card is revealed at the beginning of every turn. Each time you fail to earn the revealed card, it's accumulated by the game. And the moment the game accumulates 5 Milestone cards, it's game over. You have lost. The second objective is to achieve at least 2 cities where you have the right to score, also called control. We have the right to score, or you control those cities. And you have the right to score a city, which means at least the minimum rider count in a solo game. In a 2 to 4 player game, you have the right to score if you have the most rider cards compared to other players. And so in a solo game, if you do not have at least 2 cities that meet the minimum rider count, you have lost the game. And then the third and final thing is that you must achieve the minimum score, again, which depends on the level that you are playing.
So the first thing that you do on a turn is to draw a tool card. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this tool card. This one is a bribe, and all the tool cards have these pretty cool blurbs. Some people find them funny, others maybe not so much, but I find them funny. This is my sense of humor. Sometimes I'm the only one who laughs at the joke, but hey, I have a good time doing that. So the effect for this one, it says in 2 to 4 player games only. So pretty much it won't have any beneficial effects that I can take advantage of, but I can use it as currency to pay for optional actions. Most of which have to be paid for using tool cards. So I will go ahead and put this in my hand. So this folder right here, this represents my hand. I'll just put these out of the way. So anything that's on here, that's stuff that's in my hand. I forgot to talk about these ones. So this is my starting hand of driver cards. In a 2 to 4 player game, you start off with 7 cards. In a solo game, there is 4 levels. For level 1, you start off with 7. For level 2, you start off with 8. I'm playing solo level 2, so I have 8 driver cards in my starting hand. So the first thing on my turn, I drew a tool card, and then the next thing that I have to do is I could choose to displace one of these contested rider cards. I mean, if there's any particular card that I didn't like, or if I was playing in a 2 to 4 player game, if there's a card that I didn't want one of the other players to get, I could displace it, which means I would discard my tool card face down, get that card, discard it. I'll put in the rider discard pile right here, draw a card from the top, and replace it. But in this case, I have no need to do that. And in fact, in solo games, you will barely ever need to displace rider cards. And then the next thing for me to do is to acquire a contested rider. And this step is also called the required acquisition, because everyone must do it. So in this particular case, look, the game is just starting. It's a fair game. Obviously, I want to acquire cards that give me lots of points, and also the cheaper the better. So in this case, I will go ahead and acquire this card in slot 1, which means I have to discard, I have to pay using one driver card. So I'll take one card from my stash here, place it in the discard pile, and then take this rider card and add it to my hand. Okay. And then the next thing for me is to lay one rider card into my tableau. So this space here is where I'm going to build up my tableau. Right now I have only one rider card, so I'm just going to go ahead and lay it in my tableau. Okay. So the card power, remember this activates when you play your card into your tableau. In this case, the card power says I have to discard one tool card. So this dear tool card that I had, I have to get rid of it, all right? And when you have to discard a tool card because of a card power, or when you're using it as currency to pay for optional actions, you place it face down. So this is the face down discard pile. I'm going to put it right there. Okay? And for optional actions, in this case, I don't have any tool cards to play. I could choose to acquire a tool card by using driver cards. It's one of the optional actions. 2 driver cards can buy me 1 tool card. But at this point, I don't think I'm going to do that because my driver cards are really special. I want to preserve them. And so with that, my first turn ends, and I go ahead and get rid of all these cards. All 4 of them disappear into the discard pile, and then I have to reveal 4 new cards from the morning phase. And so the card that I draw first, that goes into slot number 1. That's the rule. The next one, slot number 2. One after that, slot number 3, and then the last one goes into slot number 4. Okay, and so now I can start my second turn. Again, first thing, I draw a tool card. So this tool card says it's for cash bait. One has 2 drivers from the competition is the cash that gives you the permission. That's the blood there. And for the effects, gain 2 driver cards. In a solo game, you gain them from this discard pile. All right, so I'll hold on to that. I'll play it when the time to do optional actions comes. But for now, I drew a tool card. That's the first thing I need to do. The second thing is to do an acquisition, required acquisition. So in this case, I already acquired a card in City B. And so, this selection of contested riders, it's not too shabby. You know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and acquire Mr. Grumpy. So I'll go ahead and, this is slot number 1. I'll take 1 driver card, place it here, take Mr. Grumpy and place it into my hand. So this Mr. Grumpy, the score is 3N, and what that means is that the card value is equal to the number of Mr. Grumpy cards in tableau multiplied by 3. All right, it says so right here at the bottom of the card. So for now, I'll place that in my hand. Then the next step is to play 1 card from my hand into the tableau. Again, I only have 1 card, so there's really no choice to make. And so I'll go ahead and place it here. And so when laying out, building up your tableau, the Uptown cards always need to be at the top. So this is the icon for Uptown, right there, this sort of golden building. And this is the icon for Midtown, and this is the icon for Downtown. So whenever I get a B Uptown card, I'm going to put it over here. This is Midtown, and this is Downtown. So that's how you build out your tableau. Okay, so I laid out my cards. Now is the time to play optional actions. All right. So I have 1 tool card. I have to decide what to do with it. This one, I could just play it and get its effects, which will give me 2 driver cards. Or I could use this to pay the cost for performing any of the optional actions that are available before me. So in this case, you know what? I think I'm gonna use it as currency, and I am going to play optional action R1, which says gain rider card from taxi riders pile. Okay, so this is the taxi riders pile, and to play that optional action, it says draw 2 cards, 1, 2. Add 1 to your hand and discard the other. okay? So in this case, I drew these two cards. One is a party people card. It's worth 6 points, so pretty high value. But when I play it into my tableau, it's gonna cost me a tool card, because the card power there says I have to discard the tool card. Or I could choose this accountant's card. It is a card power, and the card power with the $ says whenever I play this into tableau, I can immediately pay off one loan card by discarding only 2 driver cards. So this would be pretty beneficial. But for now, I think I'm gonna go with this one, and this is where I'm gonna do that. So the points value is 2 and this one is 6. One of the things I could do later on, if I run out of drivers, is to trade a rider card. And when you trade, you basically get the number of drivers equal to the point value. Again, it says so right on the card. So here, trade, gain 6 driver cards, trade, gain 2 driver cards. So you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and discard this one, and then I will add this to my hand, which is this space right over here. And with that, the next thing to do is to check and see whether any milestone cards. Obviously that doesn't apply. Milestone cards in solo phase only start getting earned in the afternoon phase, phase 2. And so my second turn is done. Now I need to clean up and prepare for the third turn. Again, all the cards that I have not acquired go right into the discard pile. I reveal 4 new ones. First one goes into slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, and slot number 4. Okay, so my third turn again, first thing is to draw a tool card. Ooh, all right. Now let me explain these red letter tool cards. Red is called that because it has this red lettering on it. So this one is for surge pricing. Yeah, surge pricing, if you ever got charged way more than you thought you should have paid, like $200 for 5 miles or something. Yeah, this is it. And this is what the blurb says, just for fun. Got charged more when demand was high, maybe delete account and say goodbye. And the effect is that, so this says, hey, play this tool card right away, then draw another tool card, okay? And the thing to point out is that in any one phase, only the first 2 red letter tool cards are the ones that take effect. Any other tool card revealed after that is simply discarded. So this is the effect. Each player shuffles their hand of rider cards face down and then discards one random card face down without looking at it. So if I had a stash, so I guess I do have a card, a rider card in my hand. I only have one, so I don't need to shuffle. I just have to discard it. So this hurts, I really like to have that card, which I just got rid of, okay? So once it takes effect, I put it over here, face up, just for tracking, so that when the next one comes, that is 2, we can all know that 2 have not come, and we don't need to take them into account anymore. So that hurts. I had to get rid of my rider cards. So I draw another one. All right, this one, what does it say? Cancel ride. Got a rider that drags like a boot, cancel ride and don't give a hoot. I was trying to rhyme a little bit. And the effect is trade 1 negative value rider card from your tableau and discard 2 driver cards less than required. Yeah, so let me explain this. So like I said, when you can trade the cards in your tableau in order to get drivers. So if I trade this one as one of the optional actions, to do that trade is one of these optional actions, the 2 that you have returned, then I could get 6 drivers. This one, I cannot trade it. Why? Because it doesn't say you can trade it. So you can only trade a card that says trade. If it doesn't say trade at the bottom, it means it cannot be traded. So if I chose to trade this one, I'd get 6 driver cards, okay? But suppose I had this one in my tableau, okay? I'll just use it for illustration. So this one has a negative score, okay? Negative score, which means, and I can trade it. It says trade, and when I trade a negative value card, it says discard driver cards equal to card value, all right? So if I only had this one, then I'd have to discard 1 driver card in order to get rid of it. Well, what this card does is it gives me a discount of 2. Okay, so I could, as one of my optional actions, I could play this card and then discard this rider card for free because it gives a discount of 2. Okay, but in any case, let me put this back here. This I'll just put it in my hand because that was the first thing that I have to do on every turn. And then now comes acquiring a contested rider. Okay, so in this case, there's the dudes. These dudes, the scoring looks pretty good. It's gonna score 2N. I guess what I'm at this point, maybe let me clarify what the scoring looks like in a solo game. So the scoring for level 1 is that in order to win the game, first of all, you must accumulate at least 6 or more milestone cards. 6 or more because the moment the game accumulates 5 milestone cards, the game is over. Okay, and so if you survive until the end of the game and you've accumulated at least 6, then in final scoring, there's 2 conditions that you have to meet to win the game. For level 1, you need to have at least 2 cities that have 5 rider cards or more each. Okay, that's level 1. And you must score a total minimum score of 50. For level 2, you need to have at least 2 cities that have 6 rider cards each, and you need a minimum score of 55. For level 3, you need to have at least 2 cities with 7 rider cards each, and you need to have a minimum score of 60. And then level 4, you need to have at least 2 cities with 8 rider cards each, and you need to have a minimum score of 65 in order to win the game. But we'll see all that when we get to the end of the game. So I was just thinking out loud about which rider card I should acquire right here. So if these dudes, you know what, these dudes, I could really use this multiplier to boost my score. That would be really awesome. This DJ, well, this DJ has a cut power, which will give me a tool card if I choose to go with that. And tool cards are really valuable in this game. I mean, if you want to outmaneuver the game, you need tool cards. Socialize, this is a negative value card. I don't think I need that. Mr. Grumpy, I think Mr. Grumpy would be really, really awesome. I mean, this one is a score of 3N. And so I already have another one. If I get this one, that boosts the score for my Mr. Grumpy. The problem with this one is it's really, really expensive. I mean, this one costs 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm not too sure that I want to spend that many drivers. So you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and acquire DJ, Mr. DJ. So Mr. DJ costs 2. I take 2 cards from here, discard them, place them in the discard pile, and then I'll take Mr. DJ, add him to my hand. Okay? And then the next thing I need to do is to lay 1 rider card from my hand onto my tableau. Again, I only have 1 card here, so there's no choosing to do. I will go ahead and place it, right next to Mr. Grumpy. And again, when you lay out cards, uptown at the top, midtown in the middle, downtown at the bottom. And you can place cities in whichever order. They don't need to be alphabetical. So here, this is city B, and then I'm building city E right next to it, and that's okay. So for DJ, upon laying this onto my tableau, I activate the card power, which gives me 1 tool card. So I'll go ahead and get that tool card. Oh my goodness. Oh, this hurts. This really hurts. Okay. So this tool card is the Angry Mayor. Okay. So what does this Angry Mayor do? There's a blurb. It says, "We love the taxi cartel around here. Yes, you have reason to fear." Yeah, I guess, we've seen some mayors in real life that sided with the taxis and not the rideshare. So yeah, and what's the effect? Every player discards 1 tool card. So this hurts. Okay, so this is the second one. I have to get rid of my tool card. That really hurts, but that's the game. All right, so I have to draw another tool card, okay? All right, so this one that's moving. Go to rider moving far away, get another in their place today. And the effect is swap one rider card, accept negative value cards from your tableau with any one card of the same city from the curbside. Immediately lay new card and resolve its card powers, if any. Then gain one driver card, okay? So this could be useful at some point. But in any case, I was just resolving the card power, which is why I was drawing a tool card. And with that, now I need to move on to my optional actions. What optional actions am I going to play? So let's see. So let me take a look to see what's on the curbside. So there is a Mr. Grumpy on the curbside. For City B, I mean, I could start building up the number of riders in City B in order to meet the threshold of 6 cards in order to qualify for final scoring. And this Mr. Grumpy has this particular icon. And whenever you see a card with this icon, it means that if you are acquiring it from the contested riders, you have to lay it in your tableau immediately. It doesn't go to hand, and then you don't have the choice to do another one. But that's only if you're acquiring it from here. So for example, if I had chosen to acquire socialites, then we just socialize straight from tableau, from contested riders to tableau. But if you're acquiring a card with this icon from here or from here, then you can just add it to your hand. Okay. So right now, it doesn't really look like there's anything in particular that I want to acquire from the curbside. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do the optional action R1 to gain a rider from the taxi riders pile. So the cost to do that optional action is 1 tool card. I'm going to go ahead and discard this face down, draw tool cards, 2 rider cards from the taxi riders pile. And now I have to choose which one am I going to go with. So I think in this case, you know what? This is for City B, Mr. DJ. Mr. DJ has a pretty good variable scorecard. It's going to be worth 2N. So far I already have another DJ. And so if I get this one here, whenever it ends up in my tableau, it's going to be worth 4, okay? Dudes. So these dudes, they have a card power, and this card power, it gives you drivers. So whenever I lay this onto tableau, it's gonna give me 2 driver cards. So that could be pretty beneficial. But you know what? At this point, I think I'm gonna focus on making sure that I build up presence in at least City B and then maybe City E. Let's see how that goes. And the reason I want to do that is because once phase 2, the afternoon phase starts, and these milestone cards are being revealed, if I don't get any milestone card on that turn, it accumulates to the game. The moment the game accumulates 5 of them, it's game over. So for now, I think I'm gonna go ahead and choose this one. So I take it, add it to my hand, and then I take the dudes card, place it in the discard pile, and that was my first optional action. For my second, I guess, do I really want to buy a tool card? It's gonna cost me 2 driver cards. So at this point, I only have 1, 2, 3, 4. I only have 4 driver cards. You know what? I think I'm done for this turn. So I'll go ahead and clear, discard all these remaining contested riders I did not acquire, reveal the next set of riders. The first one goes into slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, and slot 4. Okay, all right, so let's see here. The first thing I do on a turn is draw a tool card. Okay, draw a tool card here. The effect is, I think, pretty cool. The blurb, hey, that dude did a rough ride today. Pick him up and say, hooray! And the effects, draw 4 cards from the taxi riders pile add one or none to your hand, then discard the rest. So you know what? This one gives you a bit more choice when you're choosing from the taxi rider's pile. Because the normal optional action, R1, where you discard a tool card, you just get to draw 2 and keep 1. But with this tool card, the effect, you get to draw 4 and keep 1. So it gives you a much better chance of getting just the rider card that you want. So I'm going to go and add this to my hand. That's the first step on your turn. And then the next thing I want to do is acquire a contested rider card. Okay. So let's see what options are available here. Slot 1, socialites. Socialites in City F, these are worth 4 points, so it's a good number of points. But they have a negative, detrimental card power, and the effect is discard 1 rider card from hand whenever you play this on your tableau. That hurts. So maybe let's see what else is there. City C. Well, I don't have any interest in City C at the moment, so I'm gonna skip that. City E. So for fans, you know what? This could be really handy, so that I can start building up a presence in City E. And then there's the DJ in City B. DJ is gonna give me a tool card. That's for City B, where I'm trying to build up a presence, enough presence to be able to qualify for scoring. But the problem is this is expensive. That's 4, and I only have 4 driver cards remaining. And I guess I already have what I need to be able to earn a milestone card for City B, for having uptown, midtown, and downtown. Well, I already have this in hand. And for City E, I only have 1 card. So you know what? I think I'm gonna go ahead and acquire this particular one to start having a full presence in all zones. So that's quite pricey. So it costs 3. 1, 2, 3. So I have to go ahead and discard 3 driver cards. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then I'll go ahead and take that, add it to my hand. So now in my hand, I now have these 2 rider cards. And the next, I get to choose, get to lay 1 rider card onto my tableau. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and, you know what? None of these have any effects. So I'll just go ahead and lay this one here. Okay. All right. And then now I'll move on to optional actions. So for optional actions, I think I'm just gonna play this tool card so that I carry out its effects. And this one, it says draw 4 cards from the taxi rider's pile. That's this one right here. Add 1 or none to your hand and then discard the rest. So I'm gonna play it face up because I'm carrying out the effects. I'm gonna go ahead and reveal 4. So let me make this one over here so I don't mix them up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah, you know what? I was hoping to at least get a rider card from City E or something. But this is what's there. City A, an accountant's card. I don't have any interest in City A, so I'm just going to go ahead and discard this right away. For City C, it's a DJ. And this DJ, it could really come in handy to boost my points for the DJ card that I already have in City B. And I could as well start building up City C in order to score City C, to have at least 6 or more rider cards at the end. So yeah, this one, maybe. And then for accountants, City C. For this one, it has a card power which says I could immediately pay off 1 loan card by discarding only 2 driver cards. So I think, so do I want this socialite? So you know what? I think for these socialites, I could take this card and maybe at some later point trade it so that I could get 4 driver cards. But then the cost is too high. I have to discard 1 rider card from my hand. So you know what? I'm just gonna get rid of this. So which leaves it, brings it down to accountants versus DJ. Okay. So I'm starting to run out of driver cards, which means sooner or later I might end up getting a loan, and this will really come in handy for me to pay off my loan. Whereas this would come in handy to boost my score, because I'm playing level 2 and I need to have a minimum of 55 points. I mean, if I make it to the end, if the game does not accumulate 5 milestone cards. This is a tough one. So you know what? I think I will. For now, I think I will go with. Let me go with the DJ. Okay, I'll go for trying to boost the points for CDB. Okay, awesome. All right. So that's it for my first optional action. My second optional action, I really have nothing, and so that's it for this round, which is round 4. And this is how I know it's round 4. I have only 4 cards in my tableau, and I haven't discarded any card. And I think at this point, I really need to point out that during a turn, you only get to lay 1 card onto your tableau and nothing else. The next best thing you can do is a swap, as one of the optional actions, to swap a card between your tableau and the curbside, but there is no optional action which permits you to lay a second rider card onto your tableau. So it's only 1 card per turn from your hand to your tableau, and that's it. Okay. All right, so let me reveal now the last set of riders in the morning phase. So first one, slot 1, Mr. Grumpy. Slot 2, Party People. Slot 3, Mr. Grumpy. And slot 4, Accountants. Okay. So let's see here. Again, the first thing I do is to draw a tool card. All right, so this is another red letter tool card. And so only the first 2 in a particular phase take effect. So here I already have 1, 2 that have already taken effect. So this one has no effect, and so I just get rid of it. But yeah, so this one is like an evil agent or something, blowing up cars. And it would have caused me to discard some driver cards. So the effect says, every player with 5 or more driver cards must discard down to 4 driver cards. So I think this could really hurt if you have a bunch of driver cards in hand. All right, so I'll just go ahead and get rid of this, and then I draw another one. This one is take 2. All right, so what's the effect on take 2? It says discard 1 driver card, then perform any 2 optional actions without paying the action cost. Besides these 2 free, in quotes, optional actions, you may not perform any other optional actions this turn. So you know what? I think this is really valuable, because normally for optional actions, I'd need to discard 1 tool card per action. But this is only playing 1 tool card plus 1 driver card, and I get to play 2 optional actions. So this one is really, really awesome. Okay, so that's doing my tool card. And then the next thing, to acquire a contested rider card. All right. So these are the options that I have. Mr. Grumpy in CDC. I don't think I'm interested in Mr. Grumpy. It's for CDC Uptown. I already have a CDC Uptown for the DJ, so I think I'm good with that. Now with all these CDC that have shown up, I really have a shot at building up a presence in CDC in order to go for that goal of 6 cards. Party People with a value of 6 and a negative, I guess, a disadvantageous effect, card power. I like it for the 6. The points are really awesome, and I could trade it for 6 driver cards, so that's awesome. F, at this point, I really have no interest in F. And C, yeah, I think that accountants would looks good, but it's, this one, It doesn't have any special cut power, and the variable score is not that great. I mean, it's just 1 times the number of cards in tableau. And so, you know what? In this case, I think it's a no-brainer. I'm going to go with, I'm going to acquire this particular card. So the cost is 2. I only have 1 driver card. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and get a loan. So when you get a loan, you simply take this card, place it over here. That's where I keep track of, you know, all the milestone cards as well as the loans, and draw 3 cards from the discard pile. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And the thing with loans is you can get a loan at any point during a turn. The only limitation, and you can do that multiple times, you get multiple loans. The only limitation with a loan is that at any point in time, you can only have a maximum of 3 loans. So in a solo game, there's only 3 loan cards, you know, 1, 2, and then the third one that I got. All right. So now that I got a loan, I have a total of 4 driver cards, which means I can now afford to buy that particular card. So I'm going to go ahead and discard 2 drivers, 1, 2, and then I'll go ahead and take this party people card and add it to my hand. Okay. And then now for the next step, I need to lay 1 rider card. So in this case, I have a pretty good choice to make. I have 3 cards to choose from. Oh, you know what? This party people, the cost is just too great. The card power, it will cause me to discard a tool card, and I really love this tool card because I really want to play it as part of my optional actions. So I'm not going to play this one. These ones have no card powers, so I could really play either without affecting anything. And so, you know what? I think I'll just go ahead and play this one here, right here, E. So it's an uptown. I put it, you know, in this uptown row, the uptown zone, and that's it. And then the next thing is to play my 2 optional actions. And in this case, I'm going to use this card, which is the optional action T1, which says play 1 tool card from your hand for free. Okay, so I will play this tool card, and the tool card says I discard 1 driver card, then perform any 2 optional actions without paying the action cost. Okay, so I'll go ahead and play it. Discard 1 driver card, like it says. And then now I can play any 2 optional actions without paying the action cost. So you know what? I think I'm going to play this optional action R1. Gain 1 rider card from taxi rider's pile. So I will go ahead and draw 2 cards, and then I have to choose 1 to keep. Oh, okay. So let's see. 1 for city A, 1 for city D. Up, midtown zone, downtown zone. Okay, so which card should I keep here? So in this particular case, I'm not trying to build up a presence in city D or city A, but because this one is in the midtown zone, this one is in the downtown zone, this could help me to earn certain milestone cards, the green ones, which are based on having a presence in a certain number of zones across the cities. So let's see, in my hand, I have a city C uptown, 1 uptown, another uptown, okay? So based on what I already have in my hand in my tableau, I have 3 zones uptown. I have a midtown card, and so I have 1 in my tableau, party people, and then this could help me get the midtown zones milestone card. Fans, downtown, and in this case I only have 2 cards for downtown. So let's see, which one should I go with here? You know what, I think I'm going to go ahead and go with fans. This one, the cost is too great. I mean, the card power, it will cause me to discard a rider from my hand, and I don't like that, so I'm going to go ahead and discard this. Okay, I'm going to add this to my hand, and that was my first optional action for free. Now I get to do my second, and for my second I'm going to play exactly the same optional action. R1, gain rider card from Taxi Rider's pile. I'm going to go ahead and draw 2. 1, 2. Okay, so both are city F, okay? And for city F, I'm not trying to build up a presence there. This fans, there's no card power, but I could trade it and gain 3 driver cards. This accountants, it is a card power. This, money, because accountants are awesome with money. I could use it to pay off a loan card. I have a loan, so I could use this to pay off a loan card by discarding only 2 driver cards instead of 4. So this one could be pretty handy. So you know what? I'm going to add this to my hand, and I'm going to discard this one. Okay. So that's it for my 2 optional actions. And then next thing, according to the step-by-step guide, after playing optional actions, step 6, end milestone card if any. I mean, that doesn't apply. This only applies from phase 2. And then check hand size. So for the hand size, you can only have a maximum of 4 rider cards in hand. And I only have 4, okay? So I don't need to worry about that. And you can only have a maximum of 3 tool cards. I don't have any tool cards in hand, okay? That's it. And then the last thing, set up contested riders for the next round, okay? So in this case, let's go ahead and discard all these. And it's the end of the morning phase. The morning rush hour is over. Now we need to get ready for the afternoon pickups. And at the end of a phase, this is what takes place. First of all, you clear the curbside, right? So all these cards on the curbside, you get rid of them right away, okay? They all go into the discard pile, which you need to keep a bit messy so that you can easily tell which is which between the Taxi Rider's pile and discard pile. So I got rid of these 4, and then I reveal 4 new ones. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then the next thing you need to do is to shuffle all tool cards back into the tool cards draw pile. All right. So I'll take all these ones. Shuffle them back in here. I'll take all these, I'll shuffle them. So shuffle, 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 shuffle. Okay, there you go. And then the next thing is to move the afternoon riders into position, and then I reveal 4 contested riders. The first one into slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, and slot 4. Okay. All right, and with that, phase 2 begins, the afternoon phase. And when you are looking at the step-by-step guide, there's one more thing that you need to do. So the very first thing is to reveal a milestone card for phase 2, okay? So these are the milestone cards. The first thing I need to do is to reveal. Ta-da! All right, so this is the milestone card that's been revealed, okay? And in order to earn this milestone card is the most downtown zones. In order to earn it, it says, card goes to player with at least 1 rider card in most downtown zones, subject to a minimum of 3 zones at the end of player's turn. Card changes hands as players overtake one another's number of zones. Okay, so that overtaking, that will not apply in a solo game. All I need to do to earn this card is to have at least 3 cards in the downtown zones. So right now I already have downtown zone city B, downtown zone city E. Now I just need to have downtown zone in a 3rd city in order to be able to earn this card. Now, if I'm not able to have 3 zones to meet this requirement, this card is accumulated by the game. And when the game accumulates 5 cards, it's all over, okay? And then another important thing to point out is that in a solo game, suppose that I fail to get, 3 downtown zones, and the card goes to the game. The card is accumulated by the game permanently. It's not going to come back, never. Okay, so even if I subsequently have 3 downtown zones or 4 or 5, the game keeps it. So that's one key difference between this card in a solo game versus in a 2 to 4 player game. Okay, so first thing was to reveal this. So now I know what I need to do to be able to earn this card. And then I proceed with the next thing to do, to draw a tool card, just like normal. Draw a tool card. Oh, what do you know? This one says friendly ride. Give a friendly ride to a fellow. Next time thou shalt say hello. And the effect is acquire 1 rider card from the curbside and get a discount of 2 on the cost. For example, if the card cost is 3, then discard only 1 driver card. So like I said, to acquire the curbside, this is the curbside. The cost acquisition cost is the points value. So this one, it costs 6 to acquire. That's pricey. This one is negative, so you get it for free. This one is 1. This one is 3. So this card here would give me a discount if I choose to carry out that action. All right. So I will add that to my hand. And then the next thing I need to do is to acquire 1 contested rider. Okay. So in this case, I have 1 driver card. And the question is, do I want to acquire Mr. Grumpy? So this particular Mr. Grumpy card, it has this icon, this lay immediately icon, which means if I acquire this, I have to lay it in the tableau right away, okay? And if I do that, that's bad news, because it means I'll fail to get 3 downtown zones in order to earn the milestone card. So I definitely don't want to do that. But here's a problem. I only have 1 driver card, which means I need to get another loan, okay? So I'll get another loan, get a second loan card, put it over there, and to get 3 cards from the discard pile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, all right, so now I have more buying power. Which cards do I want to go for, all right? So I have, there's DJ for City A. Do I want to get DJ for City A? Dudes for City B. You know what? I could use dudes because I'm trying to build up my City B to 6 cards, so that could come in handy. But it's quite pricey. That's 3, and I only have 4 driver cards here. And then another dudes for City A. So this one will actually give me two driver cards if I acquire that. So that net is going to cost me 2. Pretty much the same as this. Because the card power gives you 2 driver cards whenever you play the card into the tableau. But the only problem is if I get this dude's card, I'm not going to lay it into tableau right away. Otherwise, I'll fail to get the milestone card, and that could be bad news. So you know what? I think I will. I think I will. I think I will. I think I will get the. You know what? I'll get a dues card. It costs 3, but I'm going to go for it so that I can start building up my dues there. So it costs me 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. So I get this and add it to my hand. Okay. So these are the choices that I have from my hand. All right. Let me turn this around so you can see better. Okay. So this is my 1 driver card, and now these are the choices that I have. So in this case, I know that I definitely want to play a downtown zone card in order to earn this milestone card. And I have 2 downtown zone cards. The only choice I have to make is which one, A or F, the fans or the accountants. Well, these ones have a card power, which lets me pay back a loan using 2 driver cards. I only have 1 driver card, so I won't be able to take advantage of that card power. So that means I have to play this one right here. Okay, so I've done that. I played my card from my hand onto my tableau. And then now I have two optional actions. Okay. For the one action, I could just play this card and acquire, one of these guys over here. And the question is, which one? So I think I will. I'll definitely go ahead and play this so I can get the effect. Okay. Or do I? Because I need to think about hand size. I already have 4 cards in my hand, and if I acquire an additional card, that is gone. Then that means I'll have to discard one of these cards. Oh, okay. So I guess maybe I don't want to use this to acquire an additional rider card. But the question is, do I want to use it now or for later? You know what? I think I'm going to use it later. So I won't carry out any optional actions. Okay. All right. And so with that, step 5, play up to 2 optional actions. I'm skipping that. Step 6, end milestone card if conditions met. So in this case, awesome. I met the conditions to earn these most downtown zones because I need a minimum of 3. 1, 2, 3. So yay, hooray. All right. I've earned 1 milestone card. Okay. And then the next thing, check hand size. I have 4 cards in hand, 4 rider cards, 1 tool card in good. Set up contested riders for next round. All right. Okay. So I'll go ahead and get rid of all these ones. There we go. And then I reveal 4 new cards here. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, and slot number 4. All right. Again, in a solo game, going by the step-by-step guide, the first thing you do is to reveal a milestone card. So let's see. Which milestone card is up for grabs? What do you know? All zones City B. So these yellow cards, you get them by having at least 1 rider card in the uptown zone, midtown zone, and downtown zone. Get kind of top of the card. All right, so to end this one, for City B, you need to have 1 card uptown, midtown, downtown. So awesome. I already meet the condition to be able to earn the milestone card. So I know I'm in good shape there. So I'll go ahead and draw a tool card. Okay. Draw a tool card, and this one is the Rough Ride. It helps if I play the effect, I can draw 4 cards from the taxi riders and choose one to keep. Right, so I add that to my hand. Then the next thing, I need to acquire a contested rider. Again, these are the contested rider, and the cost is 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm down to 1 driver card. All right, so the question is, do I want to acquire this DJ in City D, and it's gonna really boost my score for the DJ over there, or do I want to get a loan so that I could afford these other cards? Oh, all right. So you know what? This one will just help me with the points, but it doesn't help me to try to get at least 2 cities that have 6 or more cards in it, because I'm not trying to build up a presence in City D. So you know what? I think I'll get a loan. I'll get the 3rd and last loan that I can get. Right, and then I get 3 driver cards. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and with that, I'll go ahead and acquire City B. The DJ from City B. That cost is 2, 1, 2. Okay, so I acquire that and I add it to my hand. Okay. So now for the next step, I need to choose which of these cards I want to play onto my tableau. All right. So these are the choices that I have. There's this dude's card. You know what? This one doesn't have any special power. I already have a presence, so I don't have any compelling reason to play it right now. This one, the one that I just acquired, it would give me a tool card, and tool cards are really awesome to pay for optional actions. So maybe this one, you know what? I don't have the card power helps me to pay off a loan using only 2 driver cards. I can't afford that because I only have 2 driver cards. This one I could play it onto my tableau, but then I have to discard 1 tool card. And then this one will just boost my DJ points. Oh, all right. So let's see. So what am I trying to do here? So I know that I need to be able to accumulate to earn 6 milestone cards. This one I know I'm going to earn, but the next time that the milestone card for City, E, all zones shows up, I'm not going to get that. And if a milestone card shows up for all zones, for most midtown zones, if it showed up in the next round and my tableau looks like this, I'm definitely not going to get it because I can only play 1 card onto my tableau per turn. So if I'm to set myself up to be able to get the most midtown zones, it means I better play a card onto my tableau right now. So these 2, they are midtown cards, but they're for City B, and so they won't help me because I need 3 different zones in 3 separate cities to be able to earn that milestone card when it comes up. So at this point, I guess it makes the most sense to play Party People, City C. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and play this one, and when I do, it has the card power. In this case, it's detrimental. The effect says discard 1 tool card. All right, so I'm just going to have to buy the bullet. I play it right over there. City C, I have to discard 1 tool card. Oh man. Oh, so which one should I get rid of? You know what? This one I could use to acquire. There's a City B card over there that I could acquire for free. And this one would help me to search for more cards. What do I want to do? So I think at this point, this one is probably more valuable because I need to search for a City E midtown. All right, so I'll go ahead and discard this rider card right here. This tool card. Okay, so that was a step 4, lay 1 rider card from my hand onto tableau. Then step 5, play up to 2 optional actions. And so I'm going to play this card right here for my first optional action, which says draw 4 cards from taxi rider's pile, add 1 or none to your hand, and discard the rest. Okay, because I need to search for that City E. So I'm going to move these over here so I don't mix them up. So I'm going to reveal 4 cards. I'm just going to put them over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh man, okay. Oh, so what am I going to do here? So for City A, you know what? For City A, I have no interest in this card. All right, I'm just going to get rid of it right away. For City D, I'm not trying to build up a presence in City D. But this one is worth 6 points, which means I could trade it. I mean, if there's a high value card for a city that you're not trying to build a good presence in, that means it's a good one to trade in, for drivers. So this one maybe potentially. Mr. Grumpy. Mr. Grumpy, it would come in handy to boost the value for this Mr. Grumpy here. Because right now I only have this one in my tableau, but if I have these 2, then the value for this one becomes 6. And that could potentially get me lots of points to get me the 55 points that I need to win the game if I survive until the end. And then for C, You know what? I think C is starting to look interesting. So right now I already have the Midtown card for C, and in order to be able to earn a Milestone card for C, I'll need to have an Uptown card, Downtown card. Well, I already have an Uptown in my hand. This is a Downtown, which means I could really set myself up to get a CDC all zones card whenever that shows up. And if I do that, that also gives sort of, I guess, gives me a shot at starting to build up a presence in CDC. Because at that point, I have 5 cards in CDB, so my CDB is looking pretty good. I just need one more card for CDB to be able to meet the 6 minimum. For CDE, I'm far off, but then if I get this particular one, it means that I only need 3 more rider cards to be able to meet the 2 cities with 6 cards each requirement. So you know what? I think I will acquire this one. All right. So I'll acquire this one and add it to my hand. And that means I'll discard this one. Okay. For my second option selection, I really have no interest to do another option selection. I don't have a tool card to pay for it. Okay. And then now comes end milestone card if conditions met. Yoo-hoo, milestone card CDB. All right. So now I have 2 milestone cards. I'm doing great on that front. And then the next thing is check hand size. All right, so hand size. So now I have 5 rider cards in my hand, and I need to get rid of 1 because I'm only permitted to have a maximum of 4. Oh man, let's see. So I'm trying to build up a presence in CDB and CDC. So you know what? This accountants, the card power was awesome to help me pay off the loans, but at this point, it has to go. All right, so accountant's gone, and then last thing, set up contested riders for our next round of play. So I'll go ahead and get rid of all these. All right. Reveal 4 new riders. First one into slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, and slot 4. Okay, so now the first thing to do is reveal milestone card. Which milestone card is up for grabs? All right, CDF. Okay, so for CDF, you know, I have no hope. I don't even have any presence whatsoever in CDF. So I know definitely this one is going to be accumulated by the game. So I could be in trouble if the game accumulates 5 of them. But then for my turn, after revealing the milestone card, I draw a tool card. All right. Moving tool card, so this enables me to swap a rider card between the curbside and the temple of art. So I'll add that to my hand. And then the next thing is to acquire 1 contested rider. So in this case, I have only 2 driver cards. Okay, I can't get a loan because I already have 3 loans. So that means I can only acquire either this card, and the question is which one makes sense. I am not trying to build up a presence in CDD, which means I have to look to what other benefits could I get from these cards. Let's see. So in this case, there is maybe 2 benefits that would come from this party people card. So first of all, I need to set myself up to be able to earn the most Midtown zones card when it comes up. Right now, I don't have the ability to do that. And second of all, the second reason is that it has a points value of 6, which means I could trade it and gain 6 driver cards. And I think I'll probably need to do this sometime soon because I'm running out of drivers here. And so you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and acquire this one and add that to my hand. Now the next step is lay 1 rider card from hand onto tableau. And the question is which one? So in this case, I'm running out of driver cards and I really need to get some because if I don't, and the game could really get quite complicated. I could lose momentum. So you know what? I think I'm just gonna go ahead and play this so that I can. This is interesting. I'll go ahead and play it so that I can set myself up to get a milestone card for must meet towns if it shows up. But by playing this, I have to discard a tool card. There goes my tool card. Poof. Alright, for optional actions, I basically can't afford any because I don't have any tool cards. And in order to trade a rider card, that's an optional action. It costs one tool card, which means I can't even do that. So it means my optional actions are done. The next step, earn milestone card if conditions met. Well, city F, I don't have any. And so it means this card is accumulated by the game. So you know what? Cards being accumulated by the game, I'm just going to go ahead and put them here. All right, so now the game has accumulated one milestone card. If it gets 4 more, game over, I've lost. And then the next thing, check hand size. I have 4 rider cards in hand, I'm good. Set up for next round. I'll go ahead and get rid of all these. And then reveal 4 new contested rider cards. 1, slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, and slot 4. Okay. Again, the first thing to do, reveal a milestone card. In this case, all zone CDD. So this one is definitely going to go to the game because I don't have any hope for getting uptown, midtown, downtown for CDD. And then for my turn, first thing to do is I draw a tool card. Right, this rough ride card. It's gonna. That's a cool power. I could use that. It helped. The effect is I can draw 4 cards from here, and I choose to keep 1. Okay. Then the next thing is to acquire a contested rider card. So in this case, I only have 1 driver card, which means I have no choice. I have to acquire this one. It's a pretty useless card to me, but you know what could I do? And it also comes with this lay immediately icon, so it means I have no choice. This has to go straight from here onto tableau. There we go. And so, you know, cards like this, they tend to slow you down, and they disrupt whatever plans you had. All right, and then the next thing is to lay 1 rider card. I already did that because the card forced me to, because it has that card power. Play up to 2 optional actions. All right, so for optional actions, I need drivers. If I don't get drivers, then I'll be in big trouble on the next turn. So for the action for gain driver cards, it says that's optional action D2, and the cost is 1 tool card. Trade 1 rider card from tableau. Gain driver cards is noted on rider card. Okay, so I will go ahead and discard my tool card, and I will trade. Which one do I want to trade? I will trade this one right here. So it's worth 6 points, so that gives me 6 driver cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All right. I mean, that's it for my optional actions. I don't have anything else. Next thing, and milestone cards. I did not earn this one, so it's accumulated by the game. The game now has 2 milestone cards. Check hand size. I have 4 rider cards in hand. I'm good. And then set up contested riders for the next round, which means I get rid of all these ones. Right, and then I reveal the next 4. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, and slot 4. Oh, what do you know? This is the end, the last round in the afternoon phase. Okay, all right. The first thing we do is to reveal the milestone card. So let's see which milestone card is up for grabs. Oh man, this really hurts. Okay. So milestone card for CDE, and for CDE, oh man, so I have no ability whatsoever to be able to earn this milestone so I could be in trouble here. But let's see, I draw a tool card, my turn. Oh, all right, tool card. Play this card right away, then draw. Every player discards one tool card. So luckily I don't have any tool card in hand, so I'm not affected. So I place this right there in the middle, and then I draw another. Oh man, says busted. The blurb says speeding like a bobsled, now you're so busted. And the effect is every player discards 2 driver cards. And so this hurts. I just traded a card from City D to get these drivers. I have to get rid of 2, and I'm down to 4. But this is the game. It's like it sort of squeezes you. It gets you to be up on your toes to figure things out. And this is one awesome thing that I like about this game. Okay, all right. So that was tool cards. So now there's 2 over here. No more effects. I get to draw another one. Moving, all right, I get this moving card. It can help, I can use it to do a swap, so I'll add this to my hand. And then contested rider acquisition. Now I need to acquire one of these cards. So which one am I going to acquire here? You know what? This one costs just 1. It's a DJ card, and it could boost the score for my DJ in City B, and maybe also gives me a chance to build up 6 cards in City E for final scoring. So even though I might not be able to earn this milestone, if I get 6 cards in City E, I'll still be able to score it at the end. Fans for City A, I don't think I have a care for City A. Or do I not? This is interesting. So I still have a chance at this point to actually get the milestone card for City A. If I get this City A card, play it here. Not only does it set me up to earn the milestone card for most Midtown zones, but also sets me up to be able to earn for A. So this might be it's not such a bad choice. For City E, yeah. City F, I have no interest in City F. That Mr. Grumpy, that's way too expensive. It costs 4. I only have 4, so I'm not willing to spend my drivers to acquire that one. So I am going to let's see. I am going to acquire. You know what? I think I will. I think I will go with. This is hard. This is hard. I think I will go with City A, so that I can set myself up to get the milestone card. So I will pay the cost of 2 and get this one into my hand. Okay, and then now I need to choose one of these to play onto tableau. So I think I will. So I need to be careful here. So I need to be setting myself up to get City C whenever City C comes up. Right now, if it shows up, I won't be able to get it because I can only lay maximum of 1. So at this point, I better lay a CDC card, otherwise I will be in trouble. So I will go ahead and lay, I'll lay this one for CDC. Okay, all right, that's that. Then the next thing, play up to 2 optional actions. And so for these optional actions, what am I going to do? So at this point, I think the biggest risk I have is I might be forced to get rid of some of these cards. I mean, if I have to get rid of a CDB card, that will derail my strategy for building up 6 cards in CDB. So at this point, I think I will go ahead and bank a rider card. And this is it's one of the optional actions. Bank rider card right there. So when you bank a rider card, you have to pay the action cost, which is 1 tool card. Take that, discard it face down. And then when you bank the rider card, basically take the card and place it like this in a solo game. In a 2 to 4 player game, you place it face down so that it stays a secret, so people don't know what you're banking. But in a solo game, you know, it's just yourself. So I play it like this, so I can distinguish it from here. And one other benefit for bank rider cards is that if it has a negative and adverse card power, when you finally lay it onto the tableau at the end of the game, that card power will not affect you. And so that's an added bonus for having for banking rider cards. Okay. So I've banked the rider card, now I know it's safe. I will never lose this card, no matter what. And so that's it for optional actions. And then the next thing, and milestone cards. In this case, I failed to meet the conditions for this one. I needed uptown, midtown, downtown. I only have uptown and downtown. So this one goes to the game. Man, this is starting to look deadly. If the game accumulates 2 more milestone cards, that's it, I have lost. All right, and then the next thing, prepare for the next round. So next round, this happens to be the end of the phase. So I take all these, discard them. Again, for end of phase, take all these rider cards, put on the curbside, get rid of them. I guess this is like the people that have been waiting for a taxi the whole day and they give up and decide to go back home. Or they take the bus or something. Reveal 4 new cards. Alright. And then you have to shuffle all the tool cards back into the tool cards draw pile. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Alright, so shuffle. You know what? One thing that I really love to do is be able to do that casino shuffle where you just go and I have all the cards shuffled in like 10 seconds. I can't do that. I have to do the good old way. So shuffled cards right here. And then this is now the last phase, the evening phase, the end of the day, the rush hour, to go home. So I reveal 4 cards. First one, slot number 1, slot number 2, slot number 3, and slot number 4. Okay. All right, so again, the first thing to do is to reveal a milestone card. So let's see which milestone is up for grabs. All right, so this time around is the most midtown zones. Okay, let's see. So most midtown zones, first of all, I need to check whether I'll be able to earn that milestone card. So right now in my tableau, I already have a midtown in B and C. In my hand, I have a midtown A. So I have enough to be able to earn that milestone card. So that kind of takes off the pressure. That card might go to the game and I might lose. Again, let me proceed with my turn. First thing, just to draw a tool card. Tool card, gasoline money. So it says that's a lot of cash SA. So what you gonna do today? And the effect is to gain 2 tool cards. But this one basically just multiplies your tool cards, and it is a good card to have. So I'll put that in my hand, and then the next thing I need to do is to acquire a contested rider. So now things get tricky. I only have 2 driver cards, and all the loans are gone, which means I can only acquire this one or this one. And the question is, which one should I go for? So let's think about this. I could acquire this socialized card, and that means I have to play it right away. If I did that, it means that at the end of my turn, I will not have 3 cards, 3 in midtown zones. And this card is going to go to the game, and that's like one step closer to losing. So definitely I don't want to acquire this one. And the question is, so which one should I acquire? You know what? I think I will go with socialites. Yeah, I don't have a choice. I can't acquire this one. This is the only other one that I can. So 2, the cost is 2. 1, 2. I get socialites, city E, and I add them to my hand. And the next thing, I need to play a rider card from my hand onto tableau. Again, it's a no-brainer. I need to earn this milestone card. So this is the only card in my hand that can help me do that. City A, Midtown, fans, right? And so that's that. And then the next thing is to play 2 optional actions. And for my optional actions, I think I'll play this card to get the effects, to gain 2 tool cards, just multiply this. So that's my first optional action, just playing that. So I get 1, 2. Okay. All right, and so these are the new cards that I got. So I could play one of these cards as a second optional action. Well, for this one here, the bribe, this only has an effect in 2 to 4 player games, so there's no point in playing in it. And I can only use it as currency to pay for optional actions. And then friendly ride, this one gives me a discount of 2 in order to acquire one of these guys. So you know what? I think that one could come in handy. So let's see, what am I going to do here? Oh, by the way, I'll run out of drivers. And this is a really bad spot to be. If I don't use my remaining optional action to get drivers, then it means on my next turn I'm going to be forced to get rid of one of the cards in my tableau, to trade one of the cards in my tableau, and get only half of the drivers. And that would be a really, really bad thing. So right now I have to discard, I have to trade. I have to do the trade optional action. And the question is, what am I going to trade? Oh man, let's see. I need to be able to get lots of cards, okay? So it probably makes sense for me to trade one of the 6s, but which one? So the 2 choices are trade city B, the 6, or trade city C, the 6. So for city C, I guess the milestone card is yet to come, and I don't want to trade that, because if I do, then I'm basically done. I won't be able to get the milestone card when it shows up. For city B, I already have earned the milestone card, so I could trade that, and I still get to keep the milestone card since it's a yellow card. But that means at that point I'll have only a total of 2 cards in tableau, 2 in hand. That means I'll need to get 2 more B cards in order to meet the minimum threshold of 6 cards for 2 cities to avoid losing the game in order to proceed to scoring. So you know what? In as much as it hurts, I have to trade this card here to get drivers. I'm gonna go ahead and pay the action cost. That's get this card to discard it face down, and then I have to get then I get 6 cards from the discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So that's it. This was my second optional action. And then the next thing, step 6, and milestone card if conditions met. So in this case, oh man, yeah. So I did not think about this. So I just traded away my card B in order to get 6 cards, 6 driver cards. So you know what? I think I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna reverse this trade, okay? And I'm gonna return these 6 cards. I still need to get drivers, so that means I have to trade something else. And in this case, you know what? I think the next best thing is to trade this fence card. It's gonna give me 3 cards. It's better than nothing. It's not that great, but at least it still gives me a shot at winning the game, to stop the game from accumulating 5. Let's see. So let me think about this. If I trade this one away, then the game accumulates this, and now the game needs just one more. And at this point, which cities are remaining? We have A and C. Okay, on the yellow cards, A and C, and then I've positioned myself to earn C, but for A, I still have the risk that I may not be able to gain A. And I may not be able to gain A, and that would be bad news if I trade this one. It'll just go to the game, and I will lose. So you know what? I think at this point it probably makes sense just to let the game accumulate the milestone card for A whenever it shows up. But which card would I trade? I can't trade away this one. Why? Because I have the most downtown zones, and in order to have that card for me to keep it, I need to have a minimum of 3. So in a solo game, I have 3, 1, 2, 3. If I trade away this one, then this becomes 2. I lose that card immediately, and it goes to the game, and that's bad news. So really the only viable option I have here is to trade away this card. Okay, so be it. All right, so I discard, and then I have to trade away fans from city E, and then I gain 3 cards. 1, 2. That's my 3 driver cards. All right, so that's my optional action. My first one, and then for my second optional action, do I want to acquire a card from the curbside? As a matter of fact, I think I do. I need to build up my B and C. So for now, I only have, now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards for city B. I have 1, 2, 3 for city C. So maybe this might be a good time to acquire an additional card for city C. But if I do that, this is gonna give me a discount of 2, and then I'm gonna pay for that. I'll have 2 drivers left, which means pretty soon I'll need to trade again. All right, let's do it. Friendly ride, it's gonna give me a discount of 2. So I'm gonna go ahead and acquire this one for city C. I'll add that to my hand, and it gives me a discount of 2, so I have to pay 1. Okay, there we go. So I acquired 1 here. We have to replace it. There we go. Okay, so those are my 2 optional actions, and then end milestone cards. So in this case, most midtown zones. I have 1, 2, 3. So I get to accumulate that milestone card. Check hand size. I only have 4 rider cards in hand, so I'm good. And then step 8, set up the contested riders for the next round. Okay, so I've got to discard all these. 1, 2, 3, reveal 4 new ones. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, and slot 4. Okay. First thing to reveal the milestone card. Which milestone is up for grabs this time? All zones, CDC. Alright. Good thing is I've been preparing for that card to come by. Alright. And first thing to draw a tool card. Oh man. So I could be in real big trouble here. So this is the surge pricing red letter tool card. Says each player shuffles their hand of rider cards face down and then discards one random card face down without looking at it. So this could be really bad. This could be really, really bad. If I lose my downtown CDC card, then I'm in big trouble. It means that this milestone card will go to the game. All right, so let's see. Gonna get that, and then I'll shuffle. Okay, this is interesting. So let's see what's gonna happen. So I'll get one, discard it. Man, now it's time to find out which cards do I have left. Yes, I have this one. That's a big relief. All right. Okay, so it looks like I lost a CDC card, but at least I get to earn this milestone card. All right, and then I draw another tool card since that was just, resolving this tool card. Every player discards one tool card, so this doesn't apply since I don't have anything else in hand. I don't have any tool cards. And then these are moving. All right, so this can help me to do a swap. Okay, so I know that that's done. So now I can move on to the opposition acquiring a contested rider. Okay, so let's see. So in this case, I only have two driver cards in hand. My choices are acquire either Party People City A or City F. I think it's a no-brainer in this case. For City A, I'm getting myself set up to be able to earn the milestone card, so I'll go ahead and acquire this one. Party People City A, and add it to my hand. Then for the next step, playing a rider card from hand onto the tableau. I think it's a no-brainer. I'm trying to earn the CDC, all zones CDC, which means I have the uptown, midtown. Now I need to play the downtown. So there we go. Boom, CDC. And with that, the next step is play up to 2 optional actions. So let's say for my optional actions, what do I need to do here? So I am in a tight squeeze because I'm gonna need more drivers. Otherwise I'll be just forced to acquire whatever comes up. And the question is, am I in a position to trade away something to get riders right now? Let's see, could I trade away this one? No, I can't, because then I'll lose the milestone card. Could I trade away this one? I can't. Could I trade away this one? I could. I'll still get to keep the milestone card, but it means that when the CDA all zones comes up, I'm not gonna be able to get it. So you know what? I think I will skip playing an optional action. And I'll just take the risk that next round I'll be forced to acquire whichever will cost me 1 rider card. Okay, so I skip optional action, and then the next thing is end milestone card if conditions met. I do meet the condition for CDC, so I do earn this milestone card. Okay. Check hand size. I only have 3 rider cards in hand and 1 tool card, so I'm good. And then set up for next round. All right, go ahead and discard all these, and I will reveal 4 new ones. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, and slot number 4. Okay, so the first thing to do, reveal milestone card. Which one is it gonna be? Okay, most uptown zones subject to a minimum of 3. So I'm already set up to get this one, and that's good. So that takes the pressure off a little bit. I'll go ahead and get a tool card. First thing on the turn, cancel ride. Use this one to get rid of any negative value cards. I don't have any troublesome cards, so this one is negative, but I'm not going to score in that city anyway because I need a minimum of 6 cards to score. So I'll just add this to my hand. And then I have to acquire a contested rider. In this case, I have no choice really. I only have 1 driver card. I can only afford this one. So there you go. Acquire that, add it to my hand. And then I have to play a rider card. So in this case, what do I want to play? So you know what? I think I could use an additional tool card so that I could try to start taking advantage of some option elections in order to acquire, in order to set myself to acquire additional cards that I need to build up the minimum number of cards per city, 6 for 2 cities. So I think I'm going to go ahead and play this one. For city B, the DJ, so to play another card in a city, just lay it like this. This information panel remains exposed, so I can see exactly what card lies underneath it. Gain 1 tool card, so I get that tool card, and that added to my hand. I just resolved the card power, which says gain 1 tool card. Okay, all right, so with that now comes the optional actions. And what do you know? Look at this tool card that I picked up. The effect is gain 2 driver cards. You know what? This came just at the right time. And so I think I'm gonna play this right away. As my first option election, then I'll get 2 driver cards. And then for my second optional action, so one thing which I really need to do is to build up the number of cards in city C that I have. I guess in both cities B and C. So for city B right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards in tableau and 1 banked at 5, and I'll need 6 in order to be able to, I guess, even get to final scoring. And I see there's a city B card on the curb side, so there's maybe some hope. And well, I mean, there's the fans as well as the party people. The party people, that's a negative score, but yeah, it will still count for getting me the 6 cards. But for CDC, there's nothing on the curb side. And now the ECDC cards that are here, and what I'd want to do now is to be able to get one of these cards onto the curb side so that I can acquire it in a later turn as part of an optional action. And one of the optional actions enables me to do that. This is optional action R3. Any contested rider, any curbside rider card swap, okay? So the cost is 1 tool card, okay? I'll just go ahead and discard 1 tool card, and then I will go ahead and do this swap. So in this case, I'll go ahead and get rid of, take this here, put this there, and so now I've set myself up to get this card in a later turn. This is the only way that I could keep it. Otherwise, it's just going to get discarded at the end of this turn. And then that's my optional elections. Then step 6, and milestone cards have conditions met. Conditions have been met for the most uptown zones. All right, 1, 2, 3. So I get to get that. So my milestones are looking good. And the next thing I need to do is to check hand size. Well, I only have 3 rider cards in hand and 1 tool card, so I'm good. And then set up for next round. Right? So I just discard all these. And then I reveal the next set. Okay. Alright, so this is the new round. The first thing again, reveal a milestone card. Alright, so this one here is for our most cities. And the condition to earn it is card goes to player with at least 1 rider card in most cities, subject to a minimum of 3 cities at the end of a player's turn. Okay, so I already made this condition, so that takes off a little bit of the pressure, and so that's good. So now I just need to make sure that I focus on acquiring the right riders there. I have 2. Well, yes, first of all, let me draw my tool card. Gasoline money, this gives me extra. I can play this card and get 2 tool cards. And now I need to acquire a contested rider. I have 2 driver cards in hand, which means I'm just limited to acquiring either this one or this one. And the question is, which one do I want to acquire? All right. So let's see. I could acquire this CTF dudes and play it. This card has a card power which gives me 2 driver cards. So I could acquire for 2 and then play it and then get my drivers back. That way I get to have 2 drivers for the next round. Or I could acquire these socialites for 2, for cost of 1, and then I'll have 1 driver card, and then I'll need to come up with a plan. But at this point, I really need to be focused on figuring out how to get 6 cards for City C and City B. So I am in a pickle. So what am I going to do? I think I will, you know what? I think at this point, maybe I ought to focus on making sure that I generate enough drivers to be able to do all these acquisitions that I've been talking about. So if I could acquire this card here and then trade it. So I'll go ahead and acquire the socialites. Socialites, I add that to my hand. And then, you know what? I already have something else that I could trade. So at this point, I already have 5 milestone cards. This will make it 6, and so I know I'm safe. The game will not be able to accumulate 5. And so for me to be able to, I need to decide whether I want to play this one or this one in order to be able to trade it. So I think, I guess this one would be a bit costly because I need my tool cards. So I'm going to go ahead and play this one for CDA. All right. Okay. And the card power says I have to discard one rider card from hand. So out of these 2, I'm just going to go ahead and discard these dudes because I really don't need it at all. Okay. So that's that. And then the next thing, play up to 2 optional actions. So I know for my 1 optional action, I want to gain drivers, definitely. So I want to trade. So I'll pay the action cost by discarding a tool card. I'm going to trade this guy right here, the socialites, and I will gain 4 drivers from the discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that was my first optional action. Now for my second optional action, what do I want to do? So it gets tricky. So right now, I guess after this, I will only have one more chance to build up 6 cards for my 2 cities. I'm close for city B, but I'm really, really far for city C. So it's not looking too good at this point. It's not looking too good. So I think I will go ahead and I will go ahead and I'll play this tool card. The effects, get 2 tool cards. Now get 2 tool cards that I add to my hand. Right. And that's it for my optional actions. And the next thing, in milestone cards, if conditions met, presence in 3 cities, are present in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cities, so I definitely earn this one. Then check hand size, I have 2 rider cards and 2 tool cards, so I am good. And then set up contested riders for the next round. Okay, so I get rid of all these. And the final round, 4 tool cards, 4 rider cards, slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, and slot 4. Alright, so the first thing to do is to reveal the tool card, the milestone card. So there's that. The next thing is to draw a tool card. Oh, this one is an awesome card. The stash, and this is what it does. It surely pays to be awesome just to be like the stage one. On your required acquisition, get discount of 2 to acquire any contested rider card. For example, discard only 2 driver cards to acquire a rider with a cost of 4. Proceed to play your optional actions. So this is really neat. This is really neat. But with that, neat as it may, will it help me? Because my tableau is in a pretty awful shape. So you know what? For my acquisition, I'm just gonna go ahead and use this card, right? I'll play its effect. It gives me a discount of 2. That means I could acquire this one and that one. This one, I probably won't have any. Well, this one, the card power says if I trade it, then it gives me, if I trade on the turn when I play this card, then I get 2 extra driver cards. At this point, it's pretty useless. This one, it will gain me an additional tool card. Again, at this point, it's pretty useless. I already have 2 tool cards. I can only play 2 optional actions, so it's not going to help me. But I'll just get this one, since I need to acquire a card. And then I need to decide which card to play. It's city A, so you know what, it's city A. I might as well, play this card and earn this milestone card for Uptown, Midtown, Downtown, City A. So at least I have 7 milestone cards that I've earned. Alright, then proceed to play your 2 optional actions. So for the optional actions, I'm going to use this effect here, the take 2, which says discard 1 driver card and then perform any 2 optional actions for free. Okay, and so I'll play this one as in without paying the action cost. Take 2, discard 1 driver card, and then I get to play any 2 optional actions, and I know exactly which ones I'm going to play. I'm going to acquire rider cards from the curbside, okay? And that's optional action R2. Discard driver cards equal to cards value in order to pay the acquisition cost. So like I explained, the acquisition cost for this one is 1. So I'll go ahead and discard the driver card, add this to my hand, and I need a CDB. And the acquisition cost for this one is 3. So I'll go ahead and discard my 3 last remaining driver cards, 1, 2, 3, and add that to my hand. And then that's my 2 optional actions and milestone card. That's for City A. Already ended. Check hand size. I have 4 rider cards in my hand and 1 tool card, so I'm good there. Then set up for the next round. There is no next round. The game is over. And then now let's see. Now we proceed to final scoring. Now the first thing that needs to happen before scoring is done is to take all the cards that you have first in your hand and lay them in the tableau. So all of them have to be laid. So for CDB, I have this card. I'll just go and place it here. There's no special powers, so that's fine. CDC, these dudes, they have a card power, but at final scoring, these card powers, at least the positive ones, the ones that have beneficial effects, they are just ignored, okay? So just put it there. DJ, Mr. DJ for CDA, just come and put it there. Again, just ignore the card power. And then CTE. So for CTE, this card is interesting. The card power is detrimental. It has a red circle around it. And so each time you lay a red circle card, even at before final scoring, you have to carry out its effect, okay? So in this case, it says discard 1 rider card from hand, okay? So I lay it. I don't have any rider cards in hand, so what do? Well, I have to discard 1 rider card from the city, from the same city. And so I get this guy here, place it there, discard it. So, in the end, there's only 1 card in city E, okay? And so after you've played all the cards that were in hand, now it's time to lay the cards that were banned. And so here, I only banned 1 card, the CDB dudes, okay? And then I'll come and lay it here. Okay, so now, moment of truth. Before I can proceed to final scoring, I need to check whether I have at least 2 cities with 6 cards each in them, because I'm playing level 2. So for CDB, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, so I check the box for CDB. But that's the only city where I meet that requirement. And so in this case, I have lost the game, and it just, everything ends there. I've lost. I don't even need to proceed to count the points, because only points in cities that have 6 or more cards get counted. If you fail to get 2 cities, that's it, you've lost. All right, folks, I hope this gave you a good feel for what the game looks like and what it plays like. This was a solo version, but I show you that the 2 to 4 player game plays in pretty much the same way, in the same kind of feel. So you won't be lost at all when you switch between the solo and the 2 to 4 player version. In fact, the way that I put it is that the solo game is an excellent training ground for the 2 to 4 player game, because in the solo game you get to explore all these nuances, all these dynamics, there's all this randomness that the game throws at you, and it's basically the same kinds of decisions that you have to make in a 2 to 4 player game, when the randomness and all these challenges are coming from what the game throws at you, like these 2 cards, as well as what other players are playing, because in a 2 to 4 player game there is a lot of maneuvering that players get to do, where they take a card to make sure that another person doesn't get it, to put another player in a corner to force them to take a card that's going to hurt their tableau, and things like that. All right, folks, so that's it, and thanks for watching. Again, Rideshare Wars solo playthrough level 2. Thank you.